Earlier this year, we had all sorts of YouTube videos and sales analysts that wanted to tell me how wrong I was with the PlayStation Vive versus the Nintendo Switch in Japan, and how that Sony is going to take over and they're going to dominate, and I'm a fanboy and I don't know what I'm talking about, and the sales numbers are all going down. Nintendo needs to release the next gen Nintendo Switch before they just get closed out in Japan and it's all over. And I think at this point we all know that is wrong, because the Nintendo Switch sales probably in the last 2 or 3 months, not at this point, has completely tilted back over to Nintendo Switch like I called it, because the software sales were not in the same swing as the momentum for the hardware sales, and things have just changed up quite a bit. But it's not a video where it's I told you so video over and over. I'm only going to be doing that periodically, so it's okay, guys. We'll get our laughing comedic reel going in just a bit every now and then, but we're actually going to be breaking down what's happening here so we can get you the actual truth when it comes to the sales and analyze things like you're supposed to, by looking at it at a full picture, not just in the vacuum of I need to make a video right now or I need to dunk on somebody on Twitter or something like that. So we're going to go in and jump into this, but before we get into any of that, guys, please make sure you enter into our Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Collector's Edition giveaway. All you got to do is subscribe, hit the like button, notification, and also check out the link in the description. Go vote on our community page on your favorite Tears of the Kingdom power. I'm giving that away on June 1st, so there's still time as of the time that I'm recording this video. Now let's go ahead and jump right back into it. The Famitsu sales are out, and I saw no tags on Twitter, so that's good. Nobody tagged me about how stupid I am when it comes to sales or analyzing or fanboy nonsense. Nobody tagged me there. I didn't see any videos from people that were sitting there and saying that the PlayStation 5 is going to overtake and beat out the Switch, and they don't release something by tomorrow, they're in trouble or they're dead. So none of that. So, okay, I understand. It felt like it happened sooner than I thought, though. I thought that Tears of the Kingdom would be around that time that we start seeing that, but it was actually well before that. By March, it had already flipped around when it comes to Nintendo Switch going back to being the top selling system. But I do want to talk about this because The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has done something that pretty much no other Zelda game has done when it comes down to it, because they are holding strong leads, not only in its second week as the top seller, but also the amount being sold, but then what's happening in Japan in general. So I do have a Japanese account, so I can go on there and see the best sellers there, and it is #1 across the board. So in the physical retail, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom sold another 247,689 retail copies. Now, we do know that Nintendo sold over 1 million digital copies of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in the first 3 days in Japan, based off their press release when they announced that they sold over 10 million units in the first 3 days worldwide, with over 4 million in the Americas and 2.24 million in Japan. So incredibly strong numbers across the board, across Europe, US, Japan. No matter what, you're getting big numbers there. But also on the digital eShop front, which I do want to include because those numbers were huge, this game is having a large, quite possibly outside of maybe Animal Crossing and maybe Mario Kart, some other titles, but this, for Nintendo's core line of games, probably has the highest digital ratio at launch here, because it's #1, Tears of the Kingdom, on the Japanese eShop, and also Breath of the Wild is #2 on the Japanese eShop. So Zelda is having a revolution in Japan. There is no other time period ever in the history of the Zelda franchise and in Japan that it's enjoyed this much success. This game is far more popular than any other Zelda game, and it's not even close when it comes down to what's happening. It's not even close. The popularity, the rate of sales, the fact that it's still #1 on the Japanese sales charts, the fact that it's still #1 on the eShop, still #1 on Amazon. This is it. And I think that's why Mr. Aonuma was like, yeah, we're probably not going to go back to the old style. This is kind of the basis for the new style, and kind of going from there and adding in the open world elements, the non-linear elements, the elements that really people love when it comes to gaming. That's why Breath of the Wild exploded, and that's why Tears of the Kingdom has even exploded faster than what Breath of the Wild did, now that there is a big sizable base. So that's what's happening right now. And also, if you look at the hardware, Nintendo Switch sold 86,000 units in its 6+ year. We just don't see this when it comes to systems in Japan that are this old at this point. PS5, just in comparison, not that it matters too much, was less than that. It was 37,000 units. So all of that talk about PS5 overtaking Switch in Japan and that they need to rush out something because they're just losing Japan. Yeah, all of that seemed to be a wash. All of that seemed to be just in the moment. People weren't looking at it from the software side, because I saw that, yeah, that's great if you're selling hardware, but there were shortages, there was problems. People that even wanted a PS5 couldn't get one in Japan for the last 2 years plus. So of course there's going to be an explosion once they actually improve the stock. But after that, where's the software for people to play? That's what's going to sustain the sales, not just, hey, I can buy a PS5. There needs to be software. And the problem was that the software sales were way too low, even in that explosion of them selling better than the Switch. That was the biggest problem. In the US, in Europe, there's a bunch of software that sells well, so therefore you can have those big continued sales of the hardware because software sells hardware. But in Japan, that is just not the case because they don't have the software that people are buying to continue the high hardware sales. So that's why I knew that it was going to turn around. I knew that it was going to turn back to the Switch because the software sales were still dominating for the Nintendo Switch. So Switch was the top selling system there. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the Japanese sales with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's continuing to shatter sales records in Japan, in the UK, in the US, and this game's not slowing down because I'm looking at Amazon and it's still number one. The physical copy is $67, number one. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch OLED is number two, and the digital copy of Tears of the Kingdom is number three. So I think that there's probably some people that are like, I'm going to buy my physical copy for my collectors, and then I'm going to buy a digital copy because this is the type of game that I want to play on multiple different systems, maybe my Switch Lite, my Switch OLED, my Switch docked up, or if I just want to play and share it with somebody else when it comes to their account. This is the type of game that you probably want a digital copy as well. I know I enjoyed my digital copy that I purchased, which I got a discount on it because I had a bunch of points saved up on the eShop, so I got it for $40, had almost $30 in points. So I like the fact that I can have it on my multiple Switches, my Switch OLED, that I play mostly portable, my Switch docked up and everything. So very good on that front. Very happy with the digital version, how that one's doing, in addition to people buying the physical copy, because that's also important. Digital and physical can live together. It doesn't have to be either or, it can be both of them. All right, guys, next up, we have a massive update when it comes to Marvelous and their big games, because they announced 3 massive titles, more other titles, but I'm going to go over 3 big titles, probably going to be on the Nintendo Switch or even the next gen Nintendo Switch, in addition to maybe other systems, but these games have history on the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo platforms. First up is Rune Factory Project Dragon, which is a completely different style of Rune Factory game. Rune Factory is known for kind of like the cutesy art styles and kind of the different style of gameplay that you have, like the mix between dungeon crawling and also farming. But this one has you soaring in the skies with a dragon, on top of a dragon, and even more. It's pretty crazy. So this is a spin-off, and it's set in Eastern lands. Now the game features a Japanese style aesthetic, which is new for the series, and players can expect to experience a unique main series while expanding upon familiar elements like day-to-day life, adventuring, and romantic pursuits. So this is going to be a very interesting mix, because you usually don't see that. Usually like with these type of romance farm type of games, it's always in the same exact setting, but they're getting a little bit creative with this one, as they're going to be able to do day-to-day stuff, but it's in the skies. It's Sky Islands. Oh, Tears of the Kingdom. Let's go. Probably not like that. Let's not get our anticipation up that high. But it looks to be something different, and this is probably the most excited that I've ever been for a Rune Factory game. So Marvelous did a great job with that. Now, we also have to confirm that Rune Factory 6 is officially a thing. It's been officially announced. Rune Factory 6 is coming. So if the spin-off, this different Eastern style, isn't your thing for Rune Factory and you want your traditional Rune Factory, don't worry, guys. Marvelous has your back. They've got you covered, because they did announce the next proper mainline entry in the series, Rune Factory 6. Now, this one is set on the western continent of Andonia, and outside of that, Marvelous is keeping quiet with a lot of information. So pretty much that's all we know. Now, what we do know is that there wasn't any platforms announced for this, but Rune Factory, once again, huge influence, huge presence on Nintendo systems for decades now at this point, right? For quite some time, and the previous Room Factories are on Switch, and they've done really well sales-wise. There's a reason why they're announcing all this different type of stuff, guys. It's because the sales are good. So shout outs to the Switch for bringing the AA RPG, the farm simulators that everyone's talking about. Oh man, another farming game. Yo, they thriving on the Nintendo Switch. But let's see what they do for Room Factory 6. I'm thinking that we're going to see a bigger graphics bump. We're obviously going to see some maybe more features built in with the Switch 2 hardware. We'll see what happens there. Now, last but definitely not least is a fan or cult hit favorite, Daemon X Machina. This was one of the more impressive games that was shown off in the earlier life of the Nintendo Switch. I think it was that E3 2018 or whatever it was, 2019, one of those 2 years. I think it was 2018 that they showed off this game, and it looked absolutely incredible. And then for some reason, Marvelous decided to start copyright claiming everybody's videos. So the hype was there. People bought the game. It sold really well on Switch. But I'm telling you, if they just allowed people to create content that's fair use like normal and cover games like everybody does on the Switch, this game could have definitely been even bigger. But we've got a brand new announcement. Daemon X Machina, Titanic Scion, has been officially revealed. Now, there is a brief CG trailer, which I'm not even sure if I'm going to put it up, man. Like, Marvelous is going crazy when it comes to this franchise, so I'm not even sure. We had a public spat back and forth between Marvelous here in the US and myself on Twitter a number of years back, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to put that up. Maybe I'll put some PC gameplay or something like that of the original title. But yeah, the last one was a Switch exclusive on console. It only came to PC and Switch, so we have to wait and see for this one. But I would not be surprised if this was a next-gen Nintendo Switch title and a current gen. Like, they're going to do what we've seen on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series. Just bring it to both, with the Switch 2 version being the higher-end version of the game. I expect that to be a thing, especially with all of these being announced and no platforms being announced. That's the biggest thing. They're not announcing platforms here, so something tells me it's going to get the drop like bam, Switch and Switch 2, and probably at Nintendo's Directs or reveal events, they might talk about them more, because we've seen Rune Factory, Daemon X Machina, a lot of these games have been revealed or announced or shown off at Nintendo Directs, and the big shows, not partner Directs and stuff like that, but actual big Nintendo Directs. So I could see that happening as well. So a lot of interesting and exciting stuff to look forward to. Maybe the end of the year, there's some type of announcement with Nintendo and a launch in 2024, or who knows, maybe it's 2024 they talk about that. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing more. Now, they didn't show much, so it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get super crazy excited. There wasn't anything, but it's good to see that these smaller AA style of games are having life and thriving and getting sequels and have a place to where they can sell. So very good on that front. But what are your thoughts when it comes to everything here that we talked about, from Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, fake analysts, the sales numbers continuing, and of course all this information? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.